I just want to know, do I like the Peregrine better or the Helldiver? And people seem to be split on this. Welcome to Whiskey and SV. I'm your host Sam, and tonight we'll be drinking some Canadian whiskey. In fact, we'll be drinking some Canadian whiskey that's made specifically for the American palate and is actually not available in Canada. So yeah, Found North is a company that's doing some great work in the whiskey industry. It is founded by Nick and Zach Taylor, who are brothers. I think they're based out of Massachusetts right now, even though they're originally from Canada. And their whole shtick is that they source Canadian whiskey that's really old, and they do this masterful blending of the whiskeys, and they put out a bunch of stuff. They've been around for a few years, and last year they put out their first in a new series that's like they're supposed to be their high-end whiskey called the high altitude series, First Flight. And the inaugural release was a 20-year age statement, which is the oldest they ever put out, and it was called the Peregrine. Now, the Peregrine I already reviewed on my channel last year. It is aged. The youngest whiskey in here is 20 years old. It is finished in ex-cognac and new wood, whatever that wood is, I don't know. The overall grain, I wouldn't really call it a mash bill because each one could have different mash bills, but the final proportions of the grains that are in this is 76% corn. So corn is that more of that like sweet kind of flavors, which I love. 23% rye and 1% barley, and it's bottled at 63.1% ABV. This is a really beautiful bottle, and it was extremely hard to find. Probably not as hard as a Helldiver last year. Now, good luck finding it. I think last year I paid $200 for this. That was the MSRP, and I saw it recently sell in an auction for $1,200, which is ridiculous. And it used to be available on secondary for around maybe $400 to $500, but since the auction sold for $1,200, no one else is willing to sell them. So yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to find this. Therefore, I think it's a great whiskey. I just even at $200, I was a bit reluctant to buy it, but I'm very surprised that it has now got to be so expensive. I think these are very limited run products. I believe there was only 1,800 of them ever produced. So it's very, very small batch kind of like product. So obviously it's going to be highly tailored and going to be very hard to find. So the second in the series is the Helldiver. And this one is a 15-year, which came out a couple of months ago. The Helldiver makeup, it is finished in actually sherry and cognac, new cognac casks. It is the grain makeup is again 85% corn, so again that more of that sweetness, 14% rye and 1% barley. So very similar, actually exactly the same as the Peregrine. And the ABV on this is 59.5%. This one was even harder to find, even though the MSRP was a bit lower, I guess because it's lower age statement. The MSRP I think was around $170 to $180. I had as soon as this came out, I had a really hard time to try to find any, and it was posted on secondary for $450, so it was extremely hard to find, and I didn't want to spend $450 to get it. So I had to use a lot of relationship capital to be able to acquire this. I wish I had gotten it sooner, so I could have reviewed it as soon as it came out. Obviously, people want to know what it's like, but honestly, it would not have made a difference. You're actually more likely to be able to find it now at a reasonable price than when it first came out, because when it first came out, it sold out straight away, and it was on secondary for $450 plus. Now, the secondary price seems to be coming down. It's more like in the lower 300, $325 plus, which I think still is a lot of money, obviously. But if you think about this being like a limited series thing, which like if you have unopened ones and you keep them for a long time, then you're like kind of I guess documenting this great brand and their work, Nick and Zach Taylor that kind of blend this. So yeah, I guess it's sort of justified in some ways for some people. But if you want to drink them as I do, then yeah, you got to think twice about spending that amount of money. Anyways, the purpose of this episode for me is to know if I like the old one better or the new one. So we're going to do a blind. And I have done a I've tasted these obviously before quite a bit, and I found honestly that in a non-blind situation, I definitely preferred the Peregrine. Um, but marginally, I would not say like by a wide margin. So I think well, until you do a blind, you never really know. And honestly, you should do a blind that's an actual blind, not a blind where you know exactly what is in it. So it should be like, a blind out of like a huge amount of stuff if you're gonna really spend so much money on a whiskey, right? But for me, at least for now, is just I just want to know, do I like the Peregrine better or the Helldiver? And people seem to be split on this. I have a very good friend called Matt, who actually does prefer the Helldiver to the Peregrine. I definitely prefer the Peregrine based on the tasting that I did. Okay, so I'm going to put number one on the Peregrine because that was the first one that came out, and I'm going to put number two on the Helldiver. I'm going to get our table here. We are going to put this here, make sure it's symmetrical, and here we go. Okay, so again, I'm super excited about this episode because I think even though I'm putting it out sort of late, um, if you are really into this brand, then probably now is the best time to try to get it, because if you wait too long, then they're probably going to go up. A lot of the taters that got these and tried to sell them, flip them for like 400, 450. I think they gave up because there's only so many people that are like that know about this brand and really care about it. So they already got theirs, and now all the taters are giving up and they're trying to sell it for like more like in the low 300s, which I think if you really want to try it, is probably still worth it to get one at that price. So as usual, we will first nose them, give some notes, then taste them, provide some notes, tell you which one that I prefer, and finally we'll do a review. All right, starting with the first one. Okay, so straight away on the nose, there's a lot of like candied, fruity flavors. It really like tastes like a bourbon that has high rye content, and the rye has a dusty note to it. If I didn't know any better, I could even confuse this for a bourbon lover's rye whiskey, so something that's more than 50% rye. Of course, these are both 85% corn, so they're closer to like a bourbon than they are to a rye whiskey. But um, something about the nose just reminds me of a finished rye product. Very, very inviting nose. It's sweet and very amenable to the American palate, as if you like bourbon, right? Great nose. Let's go to this one. Hmm. Interesting. So comparatively, when I go to this one, it's like already feels a bit more concentrated. This smells a lot more like a rye whiskey actually. This has more like dry notes. They both have some herbal quality to them, which is kind of like unexpected, I guess, for a bourbon. It's what you would more expect from a rye whiskey, I think. Like and I think I get more concentrated sweetness on this. I get more like a rye notes on this one, but not like a dill rye, right? They're more like a the rye herbal notes are just kind of like spearmint, sweet, dusty kind of like sort of notes. Honestly, between the two, I think I slightly prefer this one. I think this one is a little bit too much towards a just a super sweet candied nose, which is a little bit too much, but only comparatively. They're very close though. I think like if it wasn't side by side, honestly, and I tried them like in 2 different days, and you asked me like which is which, I wouldn't really probably be able to tell you. Okay, so let's go for the palate. All right, so that's very, very flavorful, like full of viscous and sweet flavors that are then complemented by lots of baking spices, mouthwatering, some herbal notes in there, and then as they fade, you get a little bit of like that oak coming out, very sweet. No, there's nothing off-putting or bitter or anything like that about it. It's just waves of sweet and kind of baking spice like mouth-watering kind of flavors. There is a little bit of again, that like um, dusty rye, finished rye kind of like note on the beginning, and some mouth drying oak tannins. Not bitter at all, but like a little bit like you kind of feel like they're a little bit tart. And then like when the baking spices come, they make your mouth water, and it's a very interesting experience. Super enjoyable, love it. Okay, let's go try this one. Again, very similar. I just feel like this is a little bit more. It has a little bit less complexity than this one. Pretty much the same notes. Like it's like you starts with those kind of herbal, sort of like dusty rye notes, and some like oak tartness, and the baking spices make your mouth water. The lingering flavor is again like lots of like fruity, sort of like sweet, candied sort of notes. I feel like the finish on this, whatever this was used to finish this, which is probably cognac, it feels like it just it overbears everything else in it a little bit, makes it a little bit more one dimensional compared to this one. This one, there's more stuff that comes out. With this one, I think like that, whatever that finish is, it does like mask a lot of the complexity. Going to this one more time. There's a little bit of bitterness in that one, this compared to this one. I think this one has much more sweetness. The oak kind of flavors in this, after the third sip, are beginning to have a little bit of a bitterness to them as well. But overall, I get a lot more complexity in this. This feels to me much more, um, uh, comparatively, more, I guess, comparatively less complex, I should say. Anyways, so yeah, I would say very close, but I would definitely prefer this one. I'm going to guess that this is the Peregrine. I'm going to guess this is the Helldiver. So let's see. All right, so this is number one. It is the Peregrine, and this is number two. It's the Helldiver. Okay, so there you have it. I think now it's like I think the second blind that I've done. This one was a camera. I did one not on camera, and I did non-blinds, and I've consistently preferred the Peregrine. I just feel like it is more of a well integrated and complex product compared to the Helldiver. They're both really great. I would never pay $1,000 for this. Let's put it. Let's get that straight. But at MSRP, given that there are such limited products, given the age statement, given the work that goes into them, given how hard they were to find, I'm happy to pay MSRP. Maybe even a little bit over MSRP. And yeah, I'm really a big fan of what Nick and Zach Taylor are doing, and I really look forward to the next ones in the series, as well as all the other batches that they put out. So yeah, if you have never tried Found North, I think maybe first try one of the regular batches, and then that might motivate you to try to find some of these. I would imagine the Peregrine is probably firmly out of reach for 99.9% of the people out there. The Helldiver still, if you're willing to spend low 300s, or trade some bottles away for it, you can probably get it and try it. But I would say probably don't even do that. Just wait for the next one, or try the regular batches. I have done blinds on the channel before against the regular batches, and the regular batches, when they come out, they're up to now they have been relatively available. We'll see what happens after the Helldiver fiasco, that it was so hard to get. They're probably going to be hard to get, but you should still, they come out more often, so you should be able to get them at a more reasonable price. So if you've never tried them, start by one of the regular batches first, or even a store pick, which I've seen quite a few of those store picks around. I would say if you're going to try one, definitely try one that is high corn first, especially if you come from a bourbon background. I have tried the ones that are high rye, and for me, those are a little bit too vegetal. I definitely prefer the high corn ones, and I think if you come from a bourbon background, you will definitely prefer the high corn content ones first, for most. So yeah. Okay, so now I'm rambling on. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please join me next time, where we'll do more interesting whiskey tastings. Take care and see you next time. Cheers.